Hello, hello. Welcome to the Get Growing Workshop. This is the first session, session one of this three-part microgreens workshop. I am super happy to be teaching this. My hope is that you get inspired to get growing your own microgreens, whether that's for your family, or maybe you're thinking about starting a little side hustle or a business and actually selling these microgreens. We're going to get you started today. If you are brand new to microgreens, you're in the right spot. If maybe you are dabbling with them, you're in the right spot. If you used to grow them and you kind of fell out of it and you need a kickstart to get going again, you're in the right spot. Full transparency, if you were with me about an hour ago, I just taught this session live. It was incredible. I had a great group. Thank you so much if you're watching this replay. I did neglect to push record, so it happens to the best of us, I guess. I got so excited jumping into the teaching, forgot to hit that button. I know there's many of you out there who wanted to catch this workshop and couldn't come live, so I am going to reteach session one. I'm going to try to remember. I had a great group. Again, thank you to those of you who are with me live on our Zoom session. I'm going to try to remember your questions and get them answered, because a lot of times when one person has a question, many people have that same question. So I'm going to try to address those questions as I remember them. And I will send out an email following this with the highlights. And so if you aren't in a spot that you can take notes on things, I'll send out an email with a lot of the information about just the basic supplies, things like that. So we can jump right in and get growing. So if I'm new to you, I'm going to just briefly introduce myself. My name is Laura. I am a nurse turned microgreens farmer. So most of my adult life, I worked as a registered nurse at the bedside in the hospital setting. And towards the end of my nursing career, I was having my own health struggles that were not getting improved with Western medicine. I started to see a naturopath. It's kind of my personal story, right? And started to really take on this truth of food as medicine and saw how changing my diet dramatically changed my health. And that got me inspired to start thinking of maybe there was another way that I could help people. That's why I went into nursing, right? A lot of us in service type jobs, we want to put our good into the world. We want to help people. We want to serve people in some way. And while nursing was a great fit for me in my younger years, as I grew as a person, I started having this dream of being a farmer, but did not feel practical to me at all. So I was searching those last couple years, very burnt out at the hospital. I had two young kids, a baby, a toddler, was really struggling personally to find balance and just feeling burned out. I know a lot of you have been there or are there and can relate to this. And maybe that's why you're here. Maybe you've heard my story. I've connected with a lot of people who have a similar type story with a personal health struggle or feeling burnt out in a service type job and having this real desire to grow food. That being, when you think about what brings me joy or what do I believe in, what fills me with purpose, it's growing things. So I love gardening, but growing microgreens is like gardening on steroids because you can do it all year long. It is so fun. These microgreens grow so quickly. If you are brand new to it, you're going to love it. If you've already dabbled in it, you know how amazing microgreens are. And the cool thing is there's a real demand for them. There's a market for them that a small scale grower can fill. When I started growing microgreens, it was really as me trying to find something to put some joy into my life and get my family eating better, right? So I started growing really small scale windowsill pots, and then as I started researching, as one does on YouTube, looking at all the videos out there, I thought maybe I could do this. Maybe I could sell some microgreens. I did not go make a big leap at that point, but I did make one contact with one local restaurant and started selling. And that got me excited for the potential. So I know some of you out there from my previous live session, I had a lot of people that are interested in starting at least a side hustle or a side business potentially, along with growing for their family. So you are my people. I can help you do this, and I am really excited for you. Part of why I'm doing this workshop is because I see a couple things as a microgreens educator. I started my online program, Hand Grown Greens Academy, back in 2020. So that was 5 years ago. And when I first started, I found a lot of people brand new to microgreens. We're still learning about them. Now, a lot more people knowing about them and many people trying to make money with microgreens. And finding my program a year or so into that, struggling, needing some help. And that is what I love to do now, is come alongside you, whether you're brand new or maybe you've been trying this, support you and get you to your goals with microgreens, whatever those may be. I started very small and scaled my business over time as I had young kids, busy with work and other things. Many of you I know are the same. So today we're going to do some hands-on growing just to get you inspired, to show you how simple this is, how easy it is. We'll have another session on Thursday and then another one. We're going to grow these microgreens all the way out together. So if you have your supplies gathered, if you got my email, you got some things, you don't need a lot, do this with me. Get your stuff. Pause this video. This is the replay, right? So pause the video, grab your stuff, and do this with me. This is going to give you that kickstart just to get going. Sometimes we're waiting until we have the perfect timing or the perfect supplies. Just get growing. That's what this workshop is all about. So we're going to start with I'm going to be growing in these 10-20 trays, which work really good for microgreens. I did not have these nice fancy ones when I started. I had old, broken, warped ones that I got free from another farm. They worked. And like I said in the email, you can just pull something out of your recycle, clean it, put some holes in it. You do want to have holes and seat that into something without holes. We are going to fill our trays with some medium, and we'll talk about that. But let me just real quickly, for those of you who might be brand new and still unclear about what microgreens are, let me just clarify. And this is a great question because if you do want to grow and sell, you're going to get a lot of questions about this, as microgreens are still new in a lot of parts of the world. The demand is there for them across the world. I have hundreds of growers in my online program. We are a community. We get together, we have live calls, we chat, we network, and the demand is there. Some areas you're having to do more educating. You get to explain what microgreens are and why they're so amazing. Some areas it's caught on, people are aware of them. But just in case you're unclear, microgreens are essentially seedlings. So they're the next step after sprouts. Sprouts are just sprouted seed, right? And they are sprouted in dark, damp, wet conditions, which leads them to be a high-risk food. Microgreens are grown in open air, with light, with lots of airflow, and we harvest them above the soil. So we're leaving the root mass, the seed, and we're just harvesting the actual shoots. So different than sprouts, I always like to clarify that. This is a time in a plant's life, that microgreen stage, when it is most packed with nutrition, with flavor. They are vibrant colors, they are tender, all the good stuff that make them so amazing, which is why people are wanting to eat them. They're wanting those phytonutrients, the vitamins, the minerals, that real living food, and the flavor is incredible. Even my little kids like to eat these microgreens, which is a lot of fun, and a lot of times moms are surprised. But get growing these, you will see. So you can grow microgreens in a lot of different mediums. I have trialed over the years lots of different kinds of mediums. And what I've settled on, sorry for the clanking around here, this is a casual workshop, is a peat-based medium. I am currently growing in something called Sunshine Mix number 4, made by Sungro, S-U-N-G-R-O. ProMix also makes some really great seed starting or germination mixes. The ProMix HP high porosity and the ProMix MP are both great for microgreens. What you want to really think about is, what do you have access to? What can you get locally? This isn't something that you want to purchase on Amazon. I mean, if you want to get your first bag just to get you going, sure. But you will find it's a lot more cost effective to find a local source for your soil. And depending on where you live, we had a lot of people on the live call from different parts of the world. You may find that a coconut coir-based soil mix may be more available. This is a peat and perlite. A lot of these mixes are very similar. They're just different ratios of peat to perlite. They have a little dolomitic limestone for pH control. Makes it really, really simple to grow microgreens. What you want is something very fine. See how fluffy this is? It's very fluffy, unlike a potting soil that's got a lot of debris in it. Now, if that's all you have, use it. You can maybe screen it, get some of that bark and sticks. See, every now and then you get a piece of some kind of debris in there. Just take that out. You want to have nice, fine soil mix. You can see how I'm just smoothing this out with my hand. And I do take some time to get it into the corners, get it spread out. This is nice and dry. This will help me get it very flat without a bunch of dips because it's not wet, so it's not compressed. It's nice and fluffy. And I'm spreading it out very evenly. If you have an outside workspace, it's great to do your seeding outside. It's less of a mess. Today I'm in my indoor grow space. This is just a insulated room in a shed. It's a small 10 by 10 room. I can grow a ton of microgreens in here year round. I also have a greenhouse space, which is a wonderful space to work and grow. So once I've spread these out, the soil you can see how it's nice and flat. I am going to press it down. And I'm just creating a nice, even, flat sowing surface. So if you don't have a fancy soil press, custom made for you, fitting your trays, I didn't either in the beginning. I just used old nursing textbooks. They really came in handy. Whatever you have, an empty tray, you can use that and just press it down with your hands. You just want to give some light compression. And then if you're working outside, the easiest way to wet these down is with a hose with just a nozzle, a fine nozzle. You don't want to blast it. This is fluffy soil, so you will send it flying. But if you are inside, you can use some kind of a sprayer like this, a handheld sprayer. There's lots of them out there. I used to use one you had to pump up. And now I just use this rechargeable one with the button. It's really, really easy. And we're just going to wet this soil. Takes a little bit longer with this hand pump versus a hose. You will have to kind of just trial and error, see how long it takes based on what you're using to water. You want the soil to be just damp, just moist all the way through, not dripping into the bottom tray. So if you pull this tray up and you see there's water pooling in that bottom tray, you've got them too wet. You don't want them that wet. Make sure that you go around the edges extra. That's what tends to dry out the most. So usually after I wet my trays, I hope you can hear me over this. It's a little noisy. I go around the edges an extra time. There was some questions about this in the live class about how wet. You may, when you're first starting, need to kind of dig around in the corners and just see, is it wet all the way through or is it just the very surface? Do I need to water it in more? After you've done this routinely, you will get a sense of how long you need to water each tray depending on what you're using. That is so much of what it takes to be an excellent microgreens grower is repetition, like anything. How you get good at anything is doing the reps, right? And really paying close attention to everything, really noticing things. Your microgreens are going to give you such great information. You can see I got a bunch behind me here. I have the lights turned off because it gives a weird glare for the video. But in session 2, we'll be uncovering these. The seeds will be germinated. We're going to put them on the racks. We'll talk about lights and all of that. But let's get seeding. So our trays are prepped. That's it. You see how simple, quick, and easy. I filled these with soil to the top, about a ½ inch from the top maybe, so that the seeds won't fall off, but pretty full. It's about 3 liters for my loose soil. The 3 varieties, if you're not sure what you want to grow or what you should grow, the 3 varieties I recommend that you start with are broccoli. There's a huge demand for micro broccoli right now. A lot of people aware of the health benefits. It's really a great one to grow, whether you're growing it for your family or for sale. Radish, there's tons of different kinds of radish, super colorful, spicy, little peppery flavor, really different from the broccoli that's more versatile and just more neutral flavored. It kind of tastes like broccoli, like a mild broccoli. And the final one we're going to grow is pea. So these are the top 3 I recommend you start with. They are super easy to grow, and when you are new grower, I want you to work on building your confidence as a grower and dialing in your systems. When you start growing lots of different varieties and varieties that have different lengths of grow times or are more complicated to grow, it can be challenging for you to really dial in your system because you're tweaking things. Start with the basics. Get those dialed in. When you are able to consistently grow those week after week, then you can, I mean, you can do whatever we want. You're an adult, right? You can jump in and grow 30 varieties right off the bat. I will tell you, I did that and it was a mistake. So I always tell people, even if it feels boring, start with these. It's not boring, I promise you. These are amazing. They're going to blow your mind. Let's get seeding. You really want to use a consistent amount of seed. I recommend you either mark your container after you weigh them and use that volume, or you weigh them every time so you know that you're planting the same amount of seed. I can send in the follow-up email my seed density cheat sheet, and that will, so you don't have to write all this down. You can if you want. Broccoli, we're going to use 25 grams. And yes, I do it in grams because some microgreen seed use very small amount. So you can just measure it just like this, or you can have a cup that's marked, probably close enough to do it that way. And then we're just gonna very carefully sprinkle these seeds. Now, there's lots of different ways to seed. Something we talk about in my program a lot. A lot of people in my program like to use those seed shakers, like a spice shaker. I have just done so many thousands of trays with open cup that that's what my hand is practiced to. The important thing is use the same thing over and over so your hand gets very practiced. And the goal is to spread these seeds very evenly. You don't want any clumps or piles of seed, and you don't want any gaps where there's no seed. So again, because I have done this so many times, and you might want to space your trays out a little bit so you don't overlap, I go right up to the edges. I want to maximize all the surface area. And I just spread my seed out like that. It may be hard on the camera because that seed is same color as the soil, may be hard to see. But again, you want to not have any piled up bunches of seed or any gaps. You want to just spread it out nice and even. And this just takes practice. So just get started. Even if it's not perfect, you're one step closer, one tray closer to getting it more perfect, right? Most important thing is just to get going. It's the only way to really get great at seeding. Unless you invest in something like the little green seeding machine, that's going to take some of the guesswork out of it. I'm doing radish now. So radish, I'm doing 50 grams. It's a little bit larger seed. You can hear my cups just shaking along there. And once you've done this a while, you do get really practiced at spreading that seed nice and evenly. You can see how quick and easy it is, really, though. Pea, I do recommend that you soak your pea seed overnight. This will help the seed germinate faster. Our goal is to get the seed germinating quickly so we can get our trays unstacked. You'll see I'm going to stack them in a minute, and under the lights into good airflow so that we minimize risk of disease. We're going to talk a little bit. We had some questions about that. So we are going to spread our soaked seed, and because I was not anticipating teaching this session twice in one day, this seed has not been soaked overnight. You will see the seed becomes a lot plumper when you soak it overnight. It almost doubles in size. But I'm just going to use this so you can get the idea. You can see how with the soaked seed, I'm using my hands to spread the seed rather than shaking it across the tray. I'm just kind of pulling it to the edges and corners until everything is spread out and there's a nice even coverage on the tray. Perfect. That's as finicky as I get, nice and evenly spread. There. Okay, now we're going to water these in. Now the pea is already soaked, although briefly, so it's wet. I'm just going to give it a little bit extra here. And the other two, I want to make sure those seeds are all getting moistened. Making sure I'm getting the edges. And this again can be done with a hose outside. You just want to have it on a fine mist, so you're not blasting any of that seed, or you can use a sprayer like this, works great. And once we have these wet, we're going to stack them up. And the reason we stack them is to help press those now damp seeds into the soil. It makes good soil contact. We're trying to set up ideal conditions for germination. We want these trays, we want all these seeds on the trays to germinate together. We're actually going to put, let me see if I can reach. We're going to put a solid tray on top, and we're going to add some weight. Let's see what I did with my weights. Oh, I put them on my tray, of course. Borrow these. These are 5 pounds each. You can use, you can get something like this. You can get flat pavers. Again, your nursing textbooks might come to your rescue if you just need some weight. Plop them on there. And we're trying to get that good seed to soil contact. This is going to help all your seeds germinate at the same rate. It's also going to help with the strength of the stems. You're going to be amazed when we come back for session 2 and you see that the microgreens are starting to push up the trays on top of them, including these weights. So really strong, powerful little greens. Hopefully you're growing these at home. Maybe yours look a little different than mine. Maybe your setup looks a little bit different. If you don't have the seed on hand, look for my email. I'll send you info about getting seed. You want to purchase your seed in bulk, microgreens bulk seed. No little packages of seed. You're gonna go through a lot of seed. That's something that's hard for a lot of new growers, gardeners. It seems like a crazy amount of seed. Remember that we're planting these very densely. These trays are very densely planted, and we're harvesting these I grow mine in a 10-day grow cycle. So just 10 days old when they're super nutrient dense. So all of that nutrition is packed into that little start. But you're going to go through a lot of seeds. So order your seed in bulk. You want to be getting not a package, not a little packet of broccoli, but at least a pound of broccoli seed. Okay, at least probably 5 pounds of radish seed, 25 pounds of pea. That's a great starter package. Just to get you started, it'll help you grow your first 100 or so trays, which maybe sounds like a lot, but you want to be growing these every week. This is going to help you to become a really good grower. It's going to get your family eating really fresh, nutritious greens every single week. and it's going to make it easy for you to sell if you have fresh product every week to sell. We're going to talk more about that. It's a huge part of what I do in my program is help people make that leap from their love of growing things to jumping through the hoops to get your business legitimate and then effectively marketing and selling your microgreens. So it's not stressful. You're not feeling overwhelmed by it or intimidated by it, but you have a plan, you know how to do it, and it's actually really fun. This is the way that we serve people. This is the way that we get our nutritious greens on the plates of our neighbors. It's really exciting part of the whole process if that's something that you're interested in. On the live, it seemed like most people were interested in at least possibly starting a side hustle. Some wanting to do both for family and for their potential business. And I think that's great. Get growing, regardless of if you know exactly what you're going to do with it. Get growing. That's what this workshop is all about. This first session, that's it. We're just planting our trays. So you saw how easy it was. You've got your container with holes seated inside a tray without holes so that you can bottom water. We'll be showing you that in the next session. You're going to fill your trays with a medium of some sort, sprinkle your seeds densely on top, stack these trays up with some weight, and let them germinate. We're going to come back Thursday morning to unstack these trays. So depending on your grow environment, 3 to 4 days is how long it takes for most varieties to germinate and be ready to be unstacked. So I'm going to try to remember back to some of the questions. Again, we had some great questions and a really diverse group around the world, which was fun to see. I am from the US, and there were quite a few US people looking to grow from Canada, but also from around the other parts of the world. So that was exciting, from Mexico, Australia, Nigeria, trying to remember some of the other ones. All around the world, people are getting excited about these little greens. So one question that came up was about when I mentioned the possibility of mold, why we want these trays to germinate quickly is risk of mold or disease. Someone asked, could you spray anything to minimize weed, mold? Can you spray anything to minimize the mold that might grow? And they were suggesting hydrogen peroxide or vinegar. They'd heard that. Well, I do think you can use a food grade hydrogen peroxide sporadically to help with a mold that you see in your grow. I always encourage growers in my program, if they're seeing mold, to first try to figure it out. Look at it like a puzzle and try to figure out what you can do to change your grow environment, right? When we see mold, it's a sign that maybe our humidity is not being well managed. We don't have adequate airflow or ventilation. Maybe our temperature is not where it needs to be. Those are the kinds of things you want to look at to tweak so that you can just get rid of the problem altogether, prevent that mold from having a good environment to thrive in. That being said, occasionally if you're needing to spray with a food grade hydrogen peroxide or a product like Xeritol that's OMRI listed, you can use that. Typically that's just right after the germination, but I always encourage people to try to get their growing environment dialed in so that they don't need to do that. Another question that came up in the chat after this workshop was about reusing the medium that you're growing in. I love that question. It's something that I am working on right now. I am working on building a composting system so that I can reuse my growing medium. If you try to plant directly into medium that you just used for growing, you will see a lot of disease in the tray. And it's easy to see why. After you harvest a tray, you'll see there's a ton of root mass, seed holes, stems. There's just a lot of organic matter in there that has to break down. So you've got to give it time to break down compost before you can reuse it. But I know growers in the microgreens world who are doing this, and it's my goal to close that loop as well. Now that I have a little more space to work on a composting system. So I encourage you, if that's, many people in my program also are very eco-friendly in their mindsets, and it's a fun conversation. It's another reason why I encourage you to get into our community. I'm going to talk more about it at the end of this whole workshop, but if you're starting to think, yeah, maybe could start a side hustle, definitely get into our community. It will be so helpful for you in troubleshooting, just networking with other people, being able to ask questions of people who get it. It's a very niche type of farming and growing, and you can feel very alone in trying to figure things out as they come up. And a lot of people go through ups and downs with feeling discouraged, feeling overwhelmed in life. The community has been a wonderful opportunity to support each other, a great opportunity to get me as your mentor and help encourage you to reach your goals, whatever they might be. So the question about reusing the medium, I was glad that came up because those kinds of things come up a lot in our group, along with types of packaging. We talk a lot about just a lot of different growing practices. And it's fun to be surrounded with like-minded people who are also juggling a busy life, along with this passion for growing, helps you to feel less alone in that. I think there were other questions. They're not coming to mind. If you have questions after watching this replay, just email me and I'm happy to get back to you, or you could bring them to session 2 and I'll have a brief time to answer any questions before we dive into the session 2 content on Thursday. Come live if you can. It's a lot of fun to be able to interact. So come live, bring your questions. If you can't come live, email me your questions, or you can DM me on Instagram if that's easier for you. We're gonna unstack these in the next session, and the third session, they'll be ready to harvest. So I'll walk you through the basics of that. Thank you so much for being here. I hope that this is inspiring you. I hope just watching this, you saw how little time it took, because that can be something that holds people back from starting too, is they think, I'm so busy, I just don't have time for one more thing. It literally takes a few minutes to get these planted, and now they're gonna sit for 3 to 4 days. While they germinate, we're not gonna do anything. Then we're just gonna water them, take a few minutes a day, and they'll be ready to harvest at day 10. So it really is possible to do with a small amount of time. You can also start this right in your house. I grew in my kitchen when I was first starting. Then I moved to kind of our spare furnace room. I had to clear out some junk, put a rack in there, and turned that space that was just holding random junk into a profitable vertical farm. It was really exciting to do, and I have loved helping so many other people like me do the same thing. Use an area of their home to grow nutritious food and make their family some extra money. Both of those things are just a win-win, and you can do this. That's my hope, is that this workshop gets you inspired and gets you wanting to get growing. I'll see you for session 2 Thursday morning.